Hey there everybody, this is Jess. I'm just doing a speed draw today. If you didn't know, I'm also a digital artist that goes under the tag Jessica Paints, which you'll find in the description, and I also signed this drawing with it at the end, so, stick around. Or come check me out. I love to draw. I've done all of the art for the channel, and I will continue to do so, because I find it fun and relaxing. And today I just felt like drawing a little BatBoy. A little skinny BatBoy in his boxers. Just having some fun. Don't know why. Felt like it. Anyway, I've had some stuff on my brain, stuff on my mind about mental health and how important it is to bring awareness to certain situations, and I'm a big advocate for killing the stigma around mental health because I don't think I'm that bad of a person, but if you didn't know, I've been diagnosed by my doctor with GAD, which stands for Generalized Anxiety Disorder. Now, that just means that what normal people feel as a panic, like let's say you leave the house and you forget if you've turned the stove off or not. That level of panic is heightened to 100 for me, and I immediately start thinking that my house is going to burn down, and there's no controlling it. My brain goes there, and I immediately think of the worst case scenario. And I'm aware of it. That's the thing, I'm hyper aware of it, so I don't act upon it, but I feel it internally. You know, when you panic that much over even the littlest things, it can really affect you in the long run. And I do take medication for it. I take what's called escitalopram, which is a common SSRI medication for mental health disorders. It's used to treat anxiety and depression. And yeah, I'm just gonna talk, I guess, over this speed draw about my experiences with it and how I first started noticing it, and just things over my life that have attributed to where I am today. And if I can help somebody feel a little less alone in doing so, then fantastic. So I've been struggling with anxiety since I was about 11 or 12, as far as I can remember anyway. It might have been earlier than that, but my first memory of it, anyway, was when I was 11. And I remember when I was around that age, I was really into horror movies. I was getting into, this is probably terrible, but I was getting into Resident Evil and Silent Hill because my dad was really into that kind of stuff, and I was getting into gaming because of him, and I was getting into Stephen King books because of him and that kind of thing. So when Halloween rolled around, Poltergeist, the movie, came on TV, and I had never seen it before. And I remember sitting alone in my living room watching this. It was just TV airing, so it's not like I put it in or anything like that, but I fell in love with it. This movie is a classic for me. It really stuck with me. In more ways than one, apparently, because that night, even though I loved the movie, and it did scare me, there was this scene where the dad is looking in the mirror, and he's he's having a dream or a hallucination, and he's ripping his face off, and it's all fleshy, and back then they didn't use CGI. This was just a prop or an aesthetic, but it made it look real, and it really got me when I was a kid. But I remember that night going to bed and laying awake with the light on, and I had to put a sweater under my door so my mom didn't know my light was on, because she'd come in and make me turn it off, not realizing I was scared of the dark. And I remember just laying there in my bed, staring up at my ceiling, trembling, physically shaking, and chattering. My teeth were chattering, and I was crying, and I couldn't understand why I was so scared. But it was the panic of feeling the fear from the movie, from that scene, just lingering and sticking with me, even though I love horror as a genre and scary stuff. That was my first real memory of a panic attack. And I honestly thought that I was just scared. I thought it was just me reacting to my fear, but I realized later, at the age of 26, when I was leaving work one day, I got into a coworker's car and I started trembling and chattering. And I've had this happen between being 11 and 26, by the way. It's just, this is when I really realized something was wrong with it, was when I had this breakdown in my coworker's car after a really hard day at work, and they were like, "Are you okay?" And I went, "Oh yeah, I just had a really hard day at work, I'm having some stressful times," and I started crying and just saying, "I don't know if I can do this anymore," and I was thinking about quitting, and this coworker said, "All right, let's call HR, and you can tell them what's up." My HR, you know what? I miss that lady. HR is normally awful, but my HR lady was like, no, this is not normal. You need to contact your doctor and tell them about this. I'm gonna give you like a week of leave. Don't worry. Just go talk to your doctor. Get something, because this is not normal. And that's what really pushed me to go talk to my family doctor, was that day. So I was diagnosed and then given escitalopram, which is a medication, like I said, to treat those things. And it takes maybe a week to 2 weeks to really start to have an effect on you. And in that time, it's in the process of like changing your brain chemistry, so you have some weird physical reactions to this, which people can find very scary. The biggest one I noticed was for the first like 2 months of taking this new medication, while my body adjusted to it, was I felt numb. I felt nothing. I felt like nothing could upset me, but nothing made me happy. I was stuck in this void of emotion. If my dog died, I wouldn't have cared. If my favorite game, if PT came out, I wouldn't have cared. If you know me, I love Norman Reedus, I love Del Toro, and I love Silent Hill. That game was made for me, and I still get upset thinking about it. Anyway. For those 2 months I was feeling very numb, and it was a very strange feeling, but because I was feeling so numb, I didn't care that I was feeling numb. You know, it kind of like perpetuated itself. It killed my libido, which killed a relationship I was in. Honestly, that relationship wasn't good for me in the long run anyway, so it was kind of a blessing in disguise. But still, it was really tough to get used to this medication. But once I evened out, once the clouds parted and the sunshine came through, I realized I was able to feel again. I was able to feel like a sense of normality, I guess. And it was very relieving to finally feel a sense of not panic. I could think clearly, in a way. I don't want to say I could completely think clearly, but I could focus a little bit better. I could react a little differently. My fight or flight no longer went off as hard if I had like a difficult customer I had to deal with, or an email that was upsetting me or something. Just anything. I don't know, medication really helped me with that. But what it didn't help with was the overthinking and the thought loops and the hyperfixation or the not ability to focus. There's so many other things that I'm experiencing that make me think maybe it's a little bit more than generalized anxiety disorder. Maybe my anxiety disorder is a symptom of something else, which, again, I do not have a diagnosis, but I have a suspicion that I may have ADHD. I'm one of those adults who have been seeing all the memes and relatable content going around, and it's flooding my page, and I go, haha, that's me, and then I see the ADHD tag, and I go, oh, maybe I should think this through. So here's some things that my medication for my generalized anxiety disorder, my escitalopram, does not help me with. I have a very hard time keeping a job, because I still get these moods where I wake up and I can't leave my apartment, and it's like a physical wall is there, and if I try, I just get into this freeze mode. I just freeze and can't do anything. It's worse when I'm at work, because if I start to feel, I guess, emotional at work, I don't know how to process it, or I can't deal with it. I think the medication stops me from overreacting, but it doesn't stop the feeling inside. So it's hard to judge what I'm supposed to do in those situations, so I just freeze. Or I try to leave the situation and I run away. Like I never fight because I'm a pussy. It's always flight or freeze. It's hard to have coworkers like you. Eventually they start to resent you because you take personal days so much, or you have trouble doing simple tasks at work because of it. Even with the medication, I found that I was having trouble focusing, or I was hyper-focusing on one thing and not a bigger picture. I'd have trouble multitasking some days, whereas other days I'd be a god at it. It was a very big fluctuation between being hyperfixated on things and then not being able to focus on anything. And for example, I am really excited to be talking about this with you guys today and making this video and drawing, so I've been hyperfixated on this and doing this in a single day. I have dishes to do and laundry to do, and they've been there for weeks. But my brain just goes, nope, not today. You don't feel like it, you're not gonna do it. And unfortunately, that can bleed into things that are a lot more important, like work. What else can I talk about? Other than the poltergeist thing, I know that I've had some crazy panic attacks over nothing. Like, I remember one time I came home from work, and I was really tired, and I just wanted a bowl of mac and cheese. And I really wanted that bowl of mac and cheese. I made the bowl, and I went to go grab a fork. I was so excited, it smelled so good. No clean forks. And went to the dishwasher dirty. I proceeded to break down on the floor crying with a bowl of mac and cheese in my hand. My brain decided, you can't use a spoon, that's impossible, you have to use a fork. And I just broke down. I remember crying. My boyfriend at the time came home and was like, are you okay? And I was like, there's no clean forks, and I have mac and cheese, and it's been a long day. And so he was just like, it's okay, and he like cleaned a fork for me. Here you go. And I was just like, sobbing into my fucking mac and cheese on the kitchen floor. Just like something stupid like that I can laugh about now. Hilarity, right? Relatable. But in the moment, it is awful because I know how stupid I look and I know how stupid I sound, but my emotions get the best of me and I can't regulate them. And my medication doesn't do anything for me there, but really funny, I guess. Just like other health issues with the body, mental health issues can also cause physical reactions. Like when I'm feeling a hard, panicky day or a bad anxiety day, I like to call it, I feel nauseated, I get a headache or a migraine sometimes, I either don't eat all day or I spend the day overeating, I either oversleep all day or I can't sleep at all. I spend the day panicking and walking myself in circles, feeling lost, and I don't know what I should be doing. And the thought of doing anything just causes irritability and frustration because I feel like I'm unable to do it in that moment because I know I'm having a physical reaction to this panic attack. And of course, like, my jaw and neck muscles are the strongest in my body because I'm constantly clenching my teeth. And that is a reminder for all of you doing that right now. Unclench your jaw, relax your shoulders, do what you can in the moment because that's all we can hope for. I needed to learn how to act normal because I know I'm not. I find like busy work and administration tasks and stuff like that, they're wonderful for me because I can get into a flow. And when I get into that flow, I get so much done. But if I get interrupted from that flow, it causes a panic attack. It's very strange how it can flip-flop from one extreme to the other, and it ruins my day for some reason. I find it hard to like let little things go like that, or it's hard not to take things personally. And I have to really try hard not to let things get to me. I overthink a lot. I really have that mindset that I've bothered people all the time because I never want to, and that's a constant panic of mine. And I've lost a lot of friends, I've lost family members, I've lost a lot of people in my life due to this condition, and how I react to it, and how my body reacts to it. And I can't describe to you the feeling of loneliness and pain that can bring when you're already in a very low point and hyper aware that you're not normal. And you're very aware that you're trying your best. You are trying your best, you are trying your hardest, and there are still people out there who aren't gonna get it, and they're not gonna understand, and they're gonna come down on you. Life is hard, and life is even harder when you're constantly worried about everyone else instead of yourself. I'm seeing my doctor in a few weeks to talk to him about possibly trying ADHD medication and seeing how that works for me. And I'm very lucky to have a family doctor to go and talk to. If you do not, I'm sure there are many resources in your communities or in your countries that can help you with that. I'm going to leave some links in the description for mental health crisis lines and websites that you can visit if you're in Canada. Or possibly the US. I'm going to try and leave as many links as I can, and hopefully you guys can find a resource that works for you. I'm hoping that with my proper treatment, I can be a better person, and it'll help me and everyone around me deal with me too. Thank you.